This is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 6 of
Pero Let Me Tell You.
People on our show, we bring a lot of different people on here. And not only is today our first wrestler, I think it's the first person we've had that we've known across like three distinct entities. I think it's a first for us. Some of you know today's guest as a wrestler by the name of Domino. I'm not sure if it's Domino or Domino, quite honestly. Okay. Some of you know him as Panolo. And some of you simply just know him as Adrian Castro. So, whichever one you know him as, welcome, all three of you, to Pero Let Me Tell You.
Thank you. Hola, ¿cómo estamos?
So, who's here today?
It depends. A little bit all three. And then you haven't met Sladrian yet. So maybe you may be him today.
Sladrian?
I mean, there's no alcohol, so we're good. So you may not be Sladrian.
Okay, all right.
Okay, got it.
If we'd known, we would have brought a bottle of something. I didn't realize. The more the merrier. But seriously, thank you for coming. I mean, as I mentioned, one of the things actually I'll say up front is, we always are trying to have more just athletes on the show. And you're definitely an athlete by virtue of being a wrestler, and you're the first wrestler we've ever had on the show that we know of. Anyway, we've had wrestler donuts.
Yes.
But not a wrestler. I have so many questions because, again, when we first met you was at Union Beer.
Yeah.
You were a bartender.
Yeah.
Then you started your pop-up, Panolo, which I told you earlier, so it's not blowing smoke up your ass. One of the best pan con bistec I've ever had.
Thank you.
And now,
no lie,
you're a wrestler. Like, I have questions, and then those questions are going to have questions because
I'm sure.
how did you get to wrestling with CCW? I mean, it's
man.
¿Cómo nació Domino?
Yeah, like
en el año 1800.
You look great, by the way. If that's how old
Thank
you are.
I gotta say, just the fact that you call me an athlete, I was kind of like, oh damn. I guess I don't know. I guess I don't consider myself an athlete. Now I do, I guess, because I didn't touch a gym before like 2 years ago, which was right before I started wrestling. So I guess now, I guess I could consider myself as an athlete just because I started hitting the weights. But first of all, it's great that I remember hosting you guys at the podcast at Union Beer Store. Yeah. So it's a privilege and an honor that now I can be a guest on the podcast. So thank you guys.
Thank you
for having me, especially after being able to host you guys back then. And thank you guys for feeding me your delicious chicken wings as well. But yeah, I guess it all started, man. It stems from, I don't know. I feel like I've always tried finding a way to, I've been on this journey of like self-growth, right? And in order to grow and be like the best optimal version of myself is, I feel like taking yourself out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. So it's just been this journey that I guess that I've been on, it's been since like 2022, which is the year that I say has been my most transformative year. It's been the year that I decided that I'm changing my life. And so I started pursuing all these different goals and challenges to take myself out of my comfort zone, do things that I said I've always wanted to do, and become the best version of myself possible. And through wrestling, it's been the most challenging thing I think I've ever done, and I'm happy with how it's gone so far. And there've been some obstacles, but I like to say that through hardship comes growth. So I'm happy about the journey so far.
Okay, but people that want to get out of their comfort zone, go sign up for a yoga class, or say, hey, I'm going to run a 5K.
Do that little mountain climbing thing at the gym.
Getting into wrestling is it's a lifestyle, really. It's a commitment. So how is this something that you thought about maybe as a kid? Because I think that all kids at one point, especially boys and some girls, always dream of being like a wrestler. Like, oh, that would be so cool. But obviously, when we grow up, we're like, okay, deductibles, health insurance, So, what in this sort of moment that you were trying to start something new and get out of your comfort zone, as you say, that you were like, I'm going to pursue wrestling as like a real thing, like a career, a job, a profession.
Yeah, I mean, and you said it best. Like, it's you have to take, like, wrestling is not easy. You don't do it as a joke. Like, you see, especially everybody I train with, like, you have to treat this like the real deal, because not only like are you putting yourself at risk, like you have somebody else's hands, like somebody else's life in your hands. But as far as how it came for me, I wanted to do it my whole life. It's something I wanted to do as a child. I guess life started lifing, right? And then all these different obstacles, life and graduation and career. And then Panolo's came around, and that's something that took me out of my comfort zone too, because I don't have a culinary background. So I just self-taught myself, and then with help with local pop-ups in the industry and in the community, taught me. Then the wrestling came along as I was doing Panolo's and being at Union Beer Store, and mainly through CCW and Unbranded. Every now and then, them knowing that I was a wrestling fan, like they would incorporate me to have fun and pass out beer and hype up the crowd. Me as Panolo, right? Like having a good time, and it was my way to live that dream of wrestling. And then one day they were like, why don't you just come to the school? And I had already started working out, and like, why don't you just come to the school and train and see what's up and see how you like it? And I was like, man, I don't think I've ever had this opportunity in front of me where there was access to a wrestling facility with credibility, legitimacy, where the head trainer is a WWE legend, Gangrel. And I was like, man, like I'm not getting any younger, man. I'm getting older. I just turned 36. Like, I don't want to live my life in the future asking like, damn, what if I would have taken that? Like, what would have happened if I would have taking the opportunity?
That's kind of awesome, because I mean, not that 36 is old. I wish I was 36 again.
No,
but
for wrestling,
that's so that's quite like the commitment that you're like, coño, tengo 34, 35 años, and I'm like, I'm gonna go now, jump off the thing and have chairs broken on me for a living.
And it's not only like, we're wrestling every weekend, but a lot of the work comes not only through your personal fitness and the gym, but it's also training. You're training, like I've been training for a year and a half now, and 2 to 3 days a week, driving up to Pompano 2 to 3 times a week, training for 3 to 4 hours, and doing that grind. And then you wrestle on the weekends. So you're putting your body through. The way I like to look at it, and like when I discuss it with people, it's you have to treat it, and I treat it like if you're in college football or if you're in a professional team, like you have to treat it with that mentality and give it your all. And it's militant. It's very like, do you want it or not? Like, this isn't, you're not here to just pa jugar. Esto no es pa jugar. This is a legitimate profession, and it's a serious profession. And that's how I like to treat it, and it's been a crazy.
That's how you have to treat it.
I have a very serious question. How good is your health insurance?
Oh man, it's all right. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I've used it a few times. I definitely have had to use it a few times.
I hope you have a low deductible.
Yeah. Luckily, it's been good. I've been good.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy. So I know you were saying you drove to Pompano, and it's funny because it just clicked when you said that. What is it about Florida that there's so many wrestlers here? Because doesn't WWE have like their school here, their training facility?
Their main performance center is in Orlando, and that's where a lot of the up and comers are stationed at. Pretty much, they have their state of the art performance center, and Florida it's just very historical as well. Over the years, Florida has been a territory that's been known for professional wrestling, and luckily through CCW, we call ourselves the last territory in Florida. And we have some great talent. We have talent that have gone and wrestled in WWE, that are currently wrestling in WWE or AEW. Some of them are currently wrestling in TNA as well. And so this is a legitimate promotion in CCW.
Yeah. Does that still exist in the same way? Because I didn't stop to think about it, but I mean, right now I guess it's WWE, AEW are the two like big ones. Yeah. But we still have the circuit in each of the states the way that it used to be McMahon.
Yeah, you still have your promotions throughout the state of Florida. And throughout different states as well, throughout the country. And then you have TNA, you have New Japan that are all the bigger ones. You have NWA as well. And I'd like to say that CCW is up there. We're in the top, and we wrestle in Nashville as well. So we've made a name for ourselves throughout the country, for sure.
How long have you been doing this now?
Man, my first match was in September.
Oh shit! So like,
it hasn't been a year yet.
Not even a year.
But I started training in January of last year. So about a year and a half I've been training.
Domino's a baby.
Domino un bebido.
So how was Domino born? Tell us about how the evolution trajectory of Domino.
Is it because you were across the street from El Parque Los Domino?
Estaba ahí tirando una ficha, doble nueve, un cafecito. They were at Union Beer Store. No, it's actually pretty funny. So I walked into training the first day, and Gangrel just called me. He's like, "Yo, Domino, do this." I'm like, "What?" Oh, okay.
They gave you the name.
It just like stuck, but it was a joke. And it wasn't even Cuban related, really. There's a movie called Domino. Where Keira Knightley's a bounty hunter, but there's another bounty hunter that I guess apparently looks like me, and that's who he was. That was where the reference was from. But then it's funny because I remember this was January of last year. So I was late because everybody that was already starting to train had started in November, October. So they're a few months ahead of me. So I had to catch up. So I was still doing all the basic drills, and everybody was already evolved into with the drills they were doing were throwing themselves like over the top rope and like learning how to like dive and dive out and how to properly like take yourself out over the top rope. Excuse me. And I remember Gangrel, our head trainer, WWE legend, I remember him telling the trainer that was there in the ring training us, I was doing the basics and like, oh, has Domino done this? What everybody else has done? And she looked at me, she's like, sir, it's his first day. He has
his first day.
And I remember he goes, he didn't say Setivo, but he said that guy looks like he's been jumping over fences, stealing VCRs, jumping over fences in Hialeah since he was a kid. Have him jump over the top rope. And so I guess he saw, the attachment of the Domino, like Cubaneo, and he's a South Florida cat, so he knows, and he knows how to speak Spanish. So I think he knew what was up when he gave me the name.
Yeah, vino bautizado.
Right.
Basically.
Right.
Yeah, Diego bautizado.
That's
But that wasn't supposed to be my I was like, all right, I'm gonna.
Were you at that point trying to like maybe in the back of your mind you were like thinking of like this whole like origin story for maybe another character like and then Domino boom.
I thought of it. He said I was like, and then what was funny was I guess they introduced me to the class after and new people were walking in, but they overheard him saying like Domino do this or Domino do that. People thought that was my real name. People that was like, is your name Domino or Adrian? Everybody was confused. I'm like, Domino. Like,
You should have been like, you should have said neither Panolo.
Yeah, Panolo. Yeah, are you hungry? And it's Panolo. So I kind of just owned it, and I just kept telling people, and I didn't know people at the time. I was like, no, it's Domino. So I just owned it. I think I got this tattoo, this Domino tattoo, like a month after.
Oh, that's recent.
After I got the name, after he names me, I'm like, all right, I'm getting a Domino tattoo.
Of course.
So I mean, I am Domino. Domino is me.
I think he just named his memoir. I am Domino. Domino is me. Yes, absolutely. So what I love about your storyline, I didn't realize that you hadn't been doing this for a year, and you've already got like a storyline, right? Like because I mean, we've been seeing it in the last couple of weeks. Leading up to your July 6th. Is it a match? Is that the right word?
Well, typically it's a match, but things have gotten a little personal, so it's officially been labeled a Hialeah street fight, no disqualification. Which it's beautiful because it all comes full circle. Who I'll be tagging with my head mentor and coach Gangrel, who named me Domino. So he'll have my back against those ratas.
La rata. But speaking of personal, I gotta say, I love the fact that at the end of the day, your character Domino is still like a homegrown Miami boy, right?
Yeah.
And your mother has become more popular than you.
Mamano.
She has her own name, Caballero. Like, she has her own... I think that's so... That's beautiful.
Miami.
But that's so Miami. Exactly. I was like, that's beautiful, but it's so Miami that your mom is just like, dale, vamos, dale, ¿qué necesitas?
Like, she hates it. It's funny because she hates it. I'm doing, mijo, tú estás muy viejo para eso. Mijo, tú estás muy viejo, ¿qué tú haces?
Te vas a romper un hueso.
Yeah, bueno, ya me rompí 2 costillas, but...
Oh, no, la costilla.
Yeah, I broke 2 ribs, but it's fine. Health insurance, right?
Wait, how did that conversation go when you told your parents?
I didn't tell her after I healed. I was like, oh, no, porque creo que la costilla las tengo mejor. ¿Cómo que la costilla la tiene mejor? And I broke them. Mijo, tú estás loco. So she hates it, but she's still my number 1 fan. Is there, and she loves being at all the shows. It's hilarious.
But what was the real reaction from Mama?
Mamá, papá, me voy a meter a luchador.
No, she hated it. She said, mijo, estás con Union Beer Store. Tienes lo de Panolo que te va a dar lo más bien. Like, what are you doing? Like, first she hated when I left my corporate field. I was doing HR. I got my bachelor's degree in HR management. She hated that I left that for hospitality. And then she hated that I left Panolo's to do wrestling.
Wait. You were once an HR professional. Here you are wrestling. Man, some people's 180s are just... awesome.
I left. I was a HR professional. I was the senior employment specialist for all of Miami-Dade College. I did the onboarding orientations for all the employees, all the new hires, salary quotes, background checks. I was doing all of that, and then it just wasn't my passion. And
here you are breaking chairs on people's heads.
Yeah, listen, here we are on Only a Date, giving a cafecito for free to people.
Listen, I mean, obviously it's not the same as becoming a wrestler, but we can relate. We can relate to being, going down a path of like, this is the career, and then it's like, but is it? And like you want to change and you want to pivot. And
man, for me, it's always been, and it's what I've been saying since I left HR, the corporate field. Nothing wrong about it. Like, that just wasn't my calling. And I grew as a business professional. I grew as an individual, as a young man. Like, it molded me, and I learned so many things through that industry. Like, I don't resent it at all. But it's not what my soul, like, I needed to nourish my soul. It's not what I personally wanted to do. I felt incarcerated. It wasn't nourishing me. Like, it's not what I was passionate about. And it was a big risk to take. And I'm glad I did it, and I do it. And it's led to, like, what I mentioned earlier with trying to do things that take me out of my comfort zone. Like, I try to do all these things, and in hopes, I do it for myself, obviously. But then I look back and I'm like, damn, like, I hope others can be like, damn, you know what? This guy just started a food brand and with no culinary experience, or just became a wrestler at 36 years old, porque está viejo, or is doing, just left what he went to school his whole life for. And in hopes that, you know what, if there's something you want to do, just do it. Like, just do it. You know, like what they say, it's business 101, high risk, high reward. You know, like the risk can be so high that you don't know the happiness or what you can achieve if you just pursue a goal or pursue a dream that you've always had, you know?
Right. That's awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
That is awesome. That's inspiring, bro.
All inspirational.
Yeah, like, it's funny because, you know, you were talking about how, like, you were trying to figure out, you know, where you're going and your path and everything, and I'm sure you don't remember this, and I don't remember if it was after a pop-up that we did there, or if it was after I had interviewed somebody and you were there that day and you were in the back office, and I remember having a conversation with you and you saying something to that effect of, like, I'm just trying to figure it out, like, you know, this is going good, but, like, I'm just trying to get myself sorted and you know, find my direction and all that. And it's like, and again, I know you don't remember that conversation, but I remember you saying that, and now seeing you, you know, like, fuck it, I'm just gonna follow my passion.
Wait, we can curse?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
There's no MPAA on this. Like, no, like, yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Get it.
But yeah, no, I think I kind of remember, like, I think with, like, the kegs in the back office at Union. Yeah. I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I think, and that's what's beautiful about interactions like these, is where, man, we should be like, we like to joder and hablar mierda, but we should all, like, push each other, inspire each other, especially us being all in one small community or in the same industry or lo que sea. And do, like, push each other to do more. Like,
definitely.
There's so many things that we all want to do, but we don't do because we're scared.
We say this all the time. A lot of the things that we have done, especially as Ping Pong Pollo, has been because we've been inspired by other people that we've gotten to know, you know, and we've interviewed here in the podcast. Like, we really have. We've said that a bunch of times because you never know your story or your origin story, who could, you know, how it's going to be received.
Absolutely.
Because, like, your whole thing with being a professional, me too. I was a lawyer, you know. Like, what's more professional than that? And it was, like, soul crushing. It's like every day my soul died a little bit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and then, like, the inner essence of who you are as an individual, like, die, and then you're not yourself anymore.
Yeah, you're not, and then
you're just a walking corpse.
Pero something I wanted to touch on, because you mentioned ratas, so tell us a little bit about, you know, your July 6th street fight match. How do we get here? What's going on?
Man.
What's ¿Qué está pasando? We've seen some videos. We've seen some stuff. ¿Qué está pasando? Fill us in.
This is the Oprah moment.
Esos son unos chusma.
Una chusma.
So ratas and chusma.
Una juarigandilla.
That's a good word.
Hey, I'm trying to think of what I can say and not say. Yeah, so it all started, man. All right, so get ready for the novela.
Oh.
It's because it is, and it's like, yeah, they say wrestling is a novela, but, like, no, like, there's, like, real life shit, like, that's gone down, and I mean that sincerely. Like, at Union 6 years ago, I met these guys at Union. We did a wrestling show in our backyard, and we were introduced. We hosted them. They did a show at Union. Looked up to the guys, like, and coincidentally enough, it's the guys that I'm facing now. Right. But especially Ricky, he's one of the first people. He would go to Union. I was like, damn. He was wrestling for WWE at a time too, and yeah, he's made a name for himself. They've both been wrestling. Him and Ernie have both been wrestling for 15 years each. They're almost 30 years combined. So, man, I would look up to them, and I would see them here and there. It was cool. And then 6 years passed. I joined wrestling, and who takes me under the wing? Them, because I've kind of already known them, and they're like, we're the Miami Cats, you know, and Locuichi, Agi, and the little, you know, trying to represent. Then I guess they saw, you know, especially with the following I've been able to create through different industries, like this following that I created in the industry, and it kind of followed me over to wrestling. And I guess they saw the popularity or the reactions, and I guess la envidia entró, and I don't know what happened. They turned their backs, they split my head open with a chair, and then that's been going on for like 8-9 months now. Mm-hmm. But there have been a few times that they've gone a little too close to home, where it's like, they're fucking with my parents. They fucking around with my mom
Right.
in the stands. Like, yo, if anything, you leave it like aquí estoy yo. You know what I mean?
Right. You're trained to take the chair to the face.
Yeah. Like, all right, like I'll take it.
Right.
You know, it is what it is. I know what I signed up for.
Right.
You know. But then I was doing my birthday celebration thing this last Saturday at Unbranded, and of course I knew, like, no soy bobo, like, of course I knew they were probably gonna try to come and interrupt. But you know what took precedent was I wanted to throw a party that was putting on for like the city, right, for Miami. So there was free cafecito involved. I had Tu Cafe do a pop up there at Unbranded next to Luchador, our friends from Luchador, and Raul, Are You Hungry Grill, was there serving food. So
everybody was there.
Yeah. So tremenda. Oye, pachanga.
Seriously.
So I played some Miami bass, played some Pitbull. It was a party. I wanted to throw a party, put on for a city, represent Miami culture. And I thought they would come out and talk their shit, but they came from the crowd, and I didn't see them. And me tiró cafecito en la cara. They smashed my face with like the cake. You see it. I'm sure you guys saw it. It ended up
ruined
viral.
a perfectly good cake.
It was perfect. I didn't even get. I had no. Actually, now that I think about it, I had no cake for my birthday this weekend. Wow. I mean, I had a face full of cake, but I didn't get to.
Okay, that alone is worth beating their ass.
Yeah. Right?
Because and all
that cafecito that went to waste.
I mean, the cake.
Yeah.
Was it a Publix cake?
Oh, it was a Publix cake.
Oh, no. Do you need help? Do you need help?
July 6th.
That's fighting words.
July 6th, we need the whole city of Miami. But do know, and then, cool. But then things got a little too personal, and they got two whole coladas that were scorching hot that I had put there on the table, burned my face with them. The locker room came out to try to help me, towels, water. I don't end up seeing this till after, but I see that an altercation happened with my parents where things got kind of out of hand. My dad shouldn't have thrown beer. There's one thing I always ask: don't, let us do our thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I know my dad was probably, it's his son, right? He saw his face, saw him get burned. It's only his second show. Threw a beer at one of the guys at Ricky. Things got hot. But do know that, like, you don't put your hands on my parents. Like, no.
Right.
Whatever. I get heated. So it led to CCW being able to make official. That's it. Like, esto tiene que terminar de alguna manera.
Right.
So fuck the rules. No disqualification.
Oh, so it's a street fight.
It's weapons. Like, there's gonna be blood. What I've been saying since day one, they drew blood on me. They busted my head open. They drew blood on me, and I've been saying it since that day 8 months ago. This isn't done till I draw blood on them. Esto no se acaba until I see them bleeding. The both of them. Esto no se acaba, and it's gonna happen July 6th. I guarantee you.
Well, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
All I have to say is that I'm glad we don't have a pop-up on July 6th.
Yeah.
So we can go see this.
Yeah.
So it's a tremendo show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I know, and just to be real, we do this. And like you said, you called me an athlete. Yes, we're trying to compete. We're athletes competing. We're also trying to entertain everybody. But things sometimes cross the line here and there, and we can get away with something. Se pasaron. So I'm just happy that this happens to be a street fight where they get to feel me let loose a little bit more. Right. Maybe with a chair, maybe with a kendo stick, maybe with a domino table. Who knows?
When he said the domino table, I automatically thought one of those wooden ones.
Yeah.
Because maximum impact.
Oh, yeah. A domino piece, that's pretty hard. You use that a projectile, like boom, 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 boom.
Not to
boom,
give
boom.
away all the secrets, but
That's true.
If I can stuff a sock filled with fichas and whack them with it, like, anything goes pretty much.
It's very Doink the Clown.
Yeah.
You've been dominoed.
Yeah. You've been dominated.
This is how brainstorming works, ladies and gentlemen. So you saw it here first.
But yeah, this all just happened, man. I've been I'm glad that we're doing this podcast because haven't been myself a little bit, like, I'm just pissed, man. Seeing that footage of my mom on the floor, like, that's not cool. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to channel that energy into really honing it in, and that darkness really making sure that they feel it. You know what I mean? And then who better than Gangrel, WWE legend, to be on my side, my coach, my mentor, to be on my side, to take them both on at Unbranded, July 6th. So
it's going to be at Unbranded.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be the main event that day. It'll be, people are I know a lot of people are waiting to see how I'm going to respond after what they did. So
right.
I want blood.
Well, I think we know how he's going to respond. We'll kick their ass. Yeah. That's how he's going to respond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little like,
we could see the angst,
Like,
the
yeah,
anger, the
yeah.
feeling,
Like it's
the energy changed the moment he started talking about
It
this.
did. Like, I don't know. Can we talk about pan con bistec again? Like,
Yeah.
it got really heavy here all of a sudden. Like, just shit.
Yeah,
Actually,
man,
before we talk about pan con bistec, I always like to like, whenever I talk to people about wrestling, and then now that you're a wrestler, obviously, because you said you're 36, you probably were a kid or a teenager during, I think, are the golden years of the late 90s, early 2000s.
Absolutely.
Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and all that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you who was like your favorite wrestler back in the day?
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels,
yeah.
nice.
I used to go to, me and my brother used to go to Blockbuster. My mom would take us to Blockbuster, and we would rent the same VHS tape. It was WrestleMania, the ladder match, that first ladder match, Razor Ramon and Koichi, even though he wasn't really Koichi, but Koichi versus Shawn Michaels, and we would rent it every weekend, the same VHS tape, and watching that match, and he was our favorite. Like, both of us, Shawn Michaels was the guy.
Those were such good years. It's really funny. So I've said this on the podcast before. I when the show Friends started, like 94, 95, I saw the first 2 or 3 seasons of Friends, right? Like everybody else. And then for some reason, years later, I'm like, coño, why didn't I watch season 4, 5, and 6 of Friends? And that's because I used to watch, Friends used to air on Thursdays. And Thursday nights, we know what happened Thursday nights, and then Monday nights were Raw.
Yeah.
Those were such I don't know. I mean, I remember when we were little kids, it was the Hulk Hogan years.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because we were little kids and we didn't really embrace it all. I just think that late 90s, early 2000s.
I embraced it. I used to go to those wrestling matches as a kid.
Era,
I saw
era.
Ultimate Warrior, Hacksaw Jim Duggan wrestle. I mean, all of it.
I mean, all of the other, but the late 90s, early 2000s, I just think that was the peak.
It was. That's when WCW and WWE at the time were back and forth in a war. And I remember everybody, you were flipping at the remote, and you were flipping every commercial break, flipping back and forth, back and forth, back
Nitro and Raw.
Nitro and Raw, yeah.
And remember ECW?
Of course.
ECW was so, I remember I felt bad watching. I'm like, this feels wrong.
I'll tell you what, and we've gotten this feedback, and after what happened Saturday, it felt like an ECW arena in there. And we've gotten that feedback before. It's that show is so popular, hot, intense that it's we're the modern day, that Bash at the Brew show that we run at Unbranded has become the ECW show.
Right.
The modern day ECW show. And you just feel it's just the crowd, the energy from the crowd. Look at this, everybody, fans were throwing stuff. We don't condone it, and we don't want it to happen. Probably shouldn't even say it, but yeah, fans were throwing. Once I got my face burned, fans were throwing shit into the crowd.
It's good that you say don't do it. It's good that you,
July 6th, let me formar the Pingation and
the Pingation Nation.
The Pingation Nation, okay? And I'll take care of it. You guys don't worry. I got this. I got this. Let me formar el escándalo.
Is that a goal of yours? Maybe one day to make it big leagues like that?
Yeah, I feel if your goal isn't to make it to the top, then why are you doing it?
Right.
Yeah. So I have short-term and long-term goals, My present goal is to be the best that I can for CCW and to be at the top. With hopes that I can work my way if something happens. I know time's not on my side, but I feel if you take the words can't and won't and stop and all that out of your vocabulary, you can achieve anything. So definitely intending to.
I remember this guy Mike the Miz when he was on the Real World.
Yeah.
That he was that's when the Miz was born, the character, and he legit ended up being a wrestler.
Yeah. He's one of their top guys. He's still there now.
Yeah. And I mean, you saw the infancy of that when he was on the Real World. Who would have ever thought that guy would have ended up being, one of the freaking The Miz. Yeah. And here he is, So, bueno, we've mentioned Panolo. So tell us a little bit about Panolo. What's going on with it? Are we going to see it come back?
Basically, when can I get a pan con bistec?
That's
the only reason we invited you. I just want to know when the pan con bistec
you didn't have any experience making sandwiches? You just started making them?
When I was in high school working at Wendy's. That's my experience.
Okay.
Which to this day, Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich is one of my favorite sandwiches of all time.
It is good.
It's that and a pan con bistec. Those are my two deserted island meals. But yeah, no, it's on hiatus a little. I'm doing some catering gigs here and there. As far as pop-ups, it's been on hiatus a bit because I've been focusing more on the wrestling for now. I am behind the scenes, something I can't really discuss right now, working on a separate project. Hopefully through that project, we can see more Panolos through that project. But there's a plan to bring it back a little bit more actively. It's just with my time limited. I'm trying to find the team that can, full transparency, trying to find the team that can run it, operate it. If this new project gets going, have it involved there. But as far as the experience, I just always wanted to have. I used to go to Mary's Coin Laundry after FIU days, and 3 a.m, get a pango bite, and I was like, damn, it'd be cool to have a pango bite cart. And then at Union during the pandemic, in order to operate and have on-site consumption, we needed food. So I was like, man, let me test this out. I remember a few friends came. I worked on a recipe at home. A few friends came, tested it, and they're like, "¿Qué rayo es esto? This tastes terrible."
Really?
Over salted, and then. And threw it in my. They're like, "Perdóname, Adrian. Like, I can't finish this, man." I'm like, "Dude, throw it away. It's all good." So my vision for it was always a traditional pango bite, but with that green, like pollo tropical, like aioli, you know,
the cilantro,
garlic, you know. So I made my own cilantro aioli from scratch, and that was what I really wanted to focus on, the pango bite. So the pango bite became. I know Carlos Frias on the Herald featured it as his favorite, the best pango bite in Miami. So it's something I've really taken pride of, and over the years, I skipped. I should probably say how I went from my friends throwing away my sandwich to
that's a very big step.
to me.
From being the best Cuba, best pango bite.
I just, if there's something, man, in everything that I do, whether it's been wrestling, the gym, advocacy for mental health, my career in HR, union, I give my all into everything, and it could be a flaw at times because I've lost partnerships, relationships, friendships because I obsess over something. Like if it's the task at hand, I obsess over it and I tackle it, and I selfishly just won't stop until I accomplish it. And that's how I focused on the pango bite, just really put focus. But luckily I had some very close friends of mine, Shaggy from Hauche, I had Los and Naira from Massacraft helped me out a lot, Raul from Are You Hungry Grill. A lot of industry folks with their pop-ups that were really giving me tips and helping me out and followed their lead. And then Panolo's finally found its niche. And then with my branding experience with Union and all that, put some marketing into it. And then people started liking the pango bite, and they weren't throwing it away in front of my face anymore.
That is no. But that's awesome though, because it's something that we've said here from doing so many pop-ups already with Ping Pong Pollo is that we found that with pop-ups especially, there's a real big sense of community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And anytime we ever popped up that you were around in the pop-ups, I remember at Jay Wakefield a couple of years ago.
Wake Fest too.
Wake Fest. You were always like really awesome, and you always have your come mierdas. Yeah. Always, but on the most part, everybody is like, there's a great sense of community and camaraderie and helping each other, and everybody wants to see each other succeed.
Absolutely. And the pop-up industry is not the food pop-up industry. It's tough. It's very labor intensive. It's a tough industry.
Yes, my friend.
It's very tough, but it's worth it. It's worth it when you have something that people really enjoy. You can share your culture out to the community. It is. Okay, so we have the match
July 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So what else can people be looking for in terms of Domino?
Oh man, to be the best wrestler that CCW has, and to become the best, but not only become the best, but to represent my culture, my community. To always, when I go out there, I have the city of Miami on my back. And I have visions. I've had visions. Man, I watch, and I get like, I'll walk in to a venue or like a big venue, you go to a concert, you go to a football game, you go to a basketball game, and you're in front of that many people and you're consuming that energy. I just can't help but to like daydream about certain things. So I'm there and I'm just like daydreaming, and I had this vision of like, if only I can be in the middle of that ring, like with the whole like arena, the city of Miami, like on my back, and doing it for like los Cubanos, los Latinos, but not only that, but like for Miami, you know what I mean? And representing Miami in a bigger scale would be like a dream come true. And so my goal is always to be the best that I possibly can, to create a platform that I can reach out to others, especially as involved as I become with mental health advocacy, to be able to create a platform for me where I can just not only put on for my culture, but things that mean a lot to me, which is mental health advocacy, and just really reach as many people.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, because I know this is June is actually men's mental health.
So we just went through, May was National Mental Health Awareness Month, green being the official color. So I've been involved. I've done 6 events. I want to go from doing it. I was doing events May of every year, because it was National Mental Health Awareness Month, but I want to start doing quarterly events because why just limit May to represent or advocate for mental health? Like, why not? It's something we need on a daily basis. So I want to start doing events. It's the events, and again, what I always say is I'm not a professional. I'm not a medical professional at all. I just...
When you say events, what
So like, they're like live discussions. So we'll hold like testimonies, live discussions. We'll have an activation. We did an event where we had a tattoo artist go and like do flash tattoos where there was like I got this one, for example. It's a heart and a brain, things that are uplifting, quotes. It's okay to not be okay. Certain things just to uplift each other. We did like a puzzle too. But mainly just being able to discuss it. And because it's very stigmatized, where back then you would talk about mental health or issues or symptoms, and people would look at you and kind of be like, I don't want to talk about that. Oh, este está loco. I don't want to talk about. Where we're just trying to normalize those conversations where...
we being CCW?
No, like we just, everybody, as a community, as a society, being able to all just talk about mental health. It hits home for me because I've had my own issues, but mainly hits home for me because my mom and myself, my family, we've been dealing with, my brother for the last 15 years has had very serious mental health issues with bipolar and paranoid schizophrenia disorder for the last 15 years. It's been extremely tough over the last 15 years. A lot of different scenarios and incidents have happened that have been very tough on the family. And, somebody I grew up with, imagínate, like I go out there when I wrestle and me and him had dreams of doing this together, and it's like, it sucks that he can't like go watch me wrestle, and he like probably will never be able to, you know what I mean? So I use that as just motivation to be able to help somebody, you know what I mean, or just normalize these conversations so that's, that we have the resources to be able to help. And through NAMI, which is the alliance that I work with and partner up with when I do these events, they have resources available to everybody, free resources. To
tell us again the name of the organization.
NAMI.
NAMI. How do you spell it?
NAMI.
Okay.
NAMI.
So if the listeners want to look it up.
There's a chapter here in Miami. We just did a mental health walk May 18th at Metro Zoo, where my team, we did, not that we do it to compete, but it's just more, it's pride, right? Like you want to make sure that you're making an impact. Out of 300 teams, we finished top 9 in fundraising.
Nice.
Out of 300. So that felt nice, to see that you're actually making an impact somehow. So yeah, it's something I want to do quarterly as opposed to just doing it
once a year. Yeah.
Once a year. And again, it's just more for, of course I do it. My why is my mom and my brother. That's my why. But then why not be able to just try to impact like others or our daily, like our way of thinking or changing our mindset, or whether it's something as simple as, hey, do you start like meditating or things like that on a very basic level, you know what I mean? Being able to impact those with issues, but hey, like just having this conversation, us today, we'll probably feel a little bit better, you know what I mean?
Right.
So being able to impact and touch people in any way, whether it's super severe or, hey, just your
just a little
regular
down.
Conversation,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's really important because I feel there's so much awareness per se of mental health and mental health issues and struggles, but it's still taboo to talk about.
It is.
And there's all these organizations and all these things but people still struggle to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
especially Latino communities and even,
Yes.
in environments like wrestling, which is very macho, right?
Exactly.
You're supposed to suck it up.
Exactly.
And yeah.
And I feel like as Hispanics as well, we grow up and like, oh, don't be soft or don't be weak or just suck it in. It's like, okay, but I feel this way. You know what I mean? I feel like as males, especially Hispanic males, we grew up with that,
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. So it's like, yeah, again, being able to talk about it where we're normalizing like, hey, it's okay if you're feeling down, it's okay.
Los machos no lloran. That whole thing. And it's,
exactly.
It's funny because like you grow up hearing that, and like sometimes I grew up hearing that, and I can't say that affected me, but then there's some people who are affected by it.
Of course.
You never know how the person in the receiving end is going to take those comments. And
well, also, you don't necessarily have the mental health challenges that other people have. So
Right.
there are other people who they're crying because they have the frustration, and now you're telling them they can't do that. But they
Yeah.
also don't want you to talk about what's going on in your head. So what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah, and I think it's also a lot of, there's always like this, like everybody's comparing, right? Or comparing issues. You can have somebody that had some major trauma happen to them. Or you can have somebody that has something that's maybe not as traumatic. But the person that was dealing with the issue that's not as traumatic probably doesn't know how to deal with it as much, and it's harder on them. And that's where we all have to understand that that's okay. That doesn't mean that your situation is worse than the other. We're all dealing with the issue the same way. We're
not
all,
comparing tragedies.
No, you shouldn't be. It's still at the end of the day, it's still affecting somebody. So why belittle them just because maybe it's not as traumatic? No, they're still at the end of the day, it's still affecting their mental.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
That's great work. That's awesome that you're doing that and you're bringing awareness to that. As far as your wrestling and what you were saying about Miami, I think that. Whether it's wrestling, whether it's food, whatever venture somebody's in, it's really important to keep that Miami culture and the 305 alive, because something we talk about here on the podcast all the time is like, Miami is really quickly losing its identity.
It is.
It's becoming something that
its charm. It's changing. Its charm is changing.
It's becoming something else, and we owe it to ourselves, because this is our home, and we owe it to the future generations to keep it what it is.
Absolutely,
what it is. And places evolve and places move, but the heart, the essence of it remains the same. And I think that that's right now is what is under attack. So even if it's just your character, Domino, keeping it 305 in Miami, that's really important, because that's how you keep, that essence of what Miami really is. So, good for you.
No, and thank you guys. I mean, you guys have the platform where you can discuss and make sure that people are still hearing about, trying to keep that culture alive.
Oh, yeah.
We try.
I mean, the name of the podcast alone, pero let me tell you.
Pero
let me tell you que la cosa está un poco jodida aquí en Miami.
Yeah. I've never had a problem with New Yorkers, and I love New York, and I love the whole New York attitude, but don't come down here saying that this is the new New York.
Yeah, don't tell me how my city's supposed to be.
It's funny you say this, because we know that the charm, me, it wasn't until you just brought that up that I kind of oh shit, Miami's under, damn, you know what it is. So you saying that just lit something under me, and it really filled in the sense of urgency, I guess, because I knew subconsciously that Miami, I don't want to say Miami's not the same, but that we know there's a change happening. But it wasn't until you said that it lit something in me and really gave me urgency. Oh, so thank you for that. Because,
well, but you're doing the work, even if you didn't realize that you are, but you are, by keeping, the culture alive.
And that's what, again, and I'll say, we went viral on Only in Dade for the wrestling thing. And it's not because of oh, look at all the oh damn, that's all a bunch of eyes on me or a bunch of eyes on us. No, it's we're doing shit that was Miami related with Cafecito, and that's our culture. That's the special thing about it. It's damn, we were embracing our culture and letting the whatever million followers that they have, showcasing that on a bigger platform.
That's not happening.
Miami,
that's not happening in Nebraska.
No.
No.
I can't even think of a city in Nebraska right now off the top of my head. Not at all. But I want to, Adrian, Panolo, Domino, thank all three of you for coming by today.
3 guests in one. Oh yeah, this was a bargain.
It was a bargain.
Thank you. Gracias y gracias.
There you go.
Spanish, Cuban, Spanish, and English.
I honestly, man, again, we've known you for a minute now, and I always say this whenever we have guests on who we have we know them, right? I wouldn't say we have a relationship, but we know you. It's always awesome to see people that we know, especially through the podcast, through Pim Pam Pollo, who are continuing to grow and just do shit, do cool shit. You know what I mean? And so, honestly, congratulations, man.
No, thank you guys.
Congratulations, and just keep making us proud as Miami boys.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's humbling because, like I said earlier, it's damn, here we went from hosting you guys, at Union, hosting your podcast, to being invited to be a guest on your podcast. So, and thank you for what you guys do for our culture and our community, and hopefully between all of us we can keep Miami proud.
Absolutely,
yes. And I'll bring the sock on July 6th, so you can put the dominoes in there.
But give it to me and let me fucking.
No. I'm gonna bring it. I'm not gonna use it. I'm just gonna bring it. Right, I'll hand it to you under. Yeah.
So July 6th, tremendo relajo. Yeah, I've just been so heated. It's just not here I am talking about mental health advocacy and all these things, and it's just not. It's not in me to be this fucking guy, you know what I mean? But when I see my parent, so I had to try to compartmentalize the anger and
listen. Two things can be true at once.
Yeah, nobody's one dimensional.
Exactly. And he's 3-dimensional.
Yeah,
he's 3-dimensional. Yeah. All right. So thank you for coming by, man.
Thank you guys.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.